I can't believe this. It took
Oh
so
God,
long.
that took forever. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. You look beautiful.
Oh, so do you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Hi, guys. Yes, she is in. This is Sarah. Meet Sarah. Yes.
Hi, guys.
Yes.
Finally,
Finally,
technical
I know.
problems.
Finally. Yes, guys. So thank you for joining, and thank you for joining our discussion today. And what we're going to be covering is we're going to be covering this awesome book called The Four Agreements. And here with me is Sarah, and she's going to delve into this book with me, right? So, Sarah, do
So
you
excited.
mind introducing yourself for everybody to know?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this live call. My name is Dr. Sara Lange. I am a pharmacist by profession, and that's actually how me and Dr. Adiola met.
Yes.
And I'm also into health and wellness. I have a health and wellness business along with my pharmacy profession. So yeah, so excited to be reading this book with you guys and dive into it. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to type down a comment there, and we'll read it.
Yes. So that's Sarah. She has a lot of tricks on her belt, under her belt. If you have any questions about health and wellness, she's the go-to. And something she forgot to mention was she also owns a self-growth book club, which she wrote.
Oh,
Yeah, they discuss a whole bunch of books, which is really nice. So
thank
I love
you.
her. She's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and introduce myself as well. I'm Adiola. Um, I'm I'm a pharmacist as well, and we're gonna be, and this is my show that I'm starting called Convos with Dederils, and I just want to thank you all for joining. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of background about this book that we're gonna be talking about. Um, I'm curious, did anybody read the book? You can put yes, or at least did you watch the summary? That I want to, right, Sarah? I want to know. But we're going to
Yeah.
give you a black background. It's really easy to follow, to be quite honest. It's not complicated or anything. So this book was written by Don Miguel Ruiz. It was previously a neurosurgeon who had a near-death experience. The near-death experience basically changed his whole entire life. And then he decided to devote himself to the Toltec wisdom, right? The Toltec wisdom, these are people in this culture. They're known throughout southern Mexico as men and women of knowledge, right? And what Don Miguel Ruiz does with this book, The Four Agreements, is he basically shares the Toltec wisdom with people, and he believes if we follow these four agreements, we're going to have a beautiful life and a life filled with personal wisdom. So I'm just going to tell you guys what the four agreements are. The first agreement is being impeccable with your words. The second agreement, and I want you guys to pay attention to this because this is what we're going to be discussing. We're going to be discussing four agreements. First agreement is being impeccable with your words. The second agreement is do not take things personally. And the third agreement is don't make assumptions and the fourth agreement is to always do your best. These are all very important things. And I'm just gonna ask Sarah a few questions. So Sarah, do you mind summarizing what this book means to you and why you agreed to delve into it with me?
Yeah, so this was one of the picks at my book club that a few months ago. So every time that before COVID time, we gathered at my book
Right.
club, yeah, so we had like this coffee shop, we would gather, and there were like about like 10, 15 ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ladies suggested this book, and honestly, from the cover of the book, and I sincerely just didn't know the author, so it wouldn't have been my pick. But out of respect, and we heard so many good things about it, we picked this book, and we read it, and I was just so blown away with how direct to the point this book is. Like, he cuts the chase, and he gets to the point, and he tells you, this is the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and do these, and you'll have a better life. And honestly, like, I like how short it is. I like how it is free of BS, and I like how it's like completely to the point. And honestly, since I've read this book, I'm not going to say I'm a perfect human being. Obviously, everyone has areas that they're working on, and I personally am too, but I think I have become just a little bit better person since reading the book. So yeah, thank you so
Yes.
much for choosing the book to discuss.
Yes, I like you said. I absolutely love the book. It's short, direct, and precise. And for me, it basically emphasizes things that I never really paid attention to about myself, and just reinforces those things and lets me know this is. We should be acting upon some of these things, and we would live a better life. But we're gonna dive into it. That way, you guys can get a better overview of what this book means to us. So I'm gonna talk about the first agreement. The first agreement says, be impeccable with your words. Don Miguel summarizes this as, speak with integrity and avoid using the word against yourself or to gossip about others. Correct usage of your words in the direction of truth and love for yourself and others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Yes. So, Sarah, if you don't mind me asking, what do you think Don Miguel Ruiz means by this statement? And can you give an example of how you relate to it?
Yes, of course. So honestly, one of the things that when he mentioned it really like resonated with me and it like actually made sense
Mm-hmm.
was that he used this analogy of using good words and positive words and speaking kindly as putting white magic on people and
Mm-hmm.
speaking negative things and speaking behind people and gossiping and things like that as black magic.
Mm-hmm.
It really, our words are more powerful than what we think they are. And once that we start using them in a positive way, we'll have like a tremendously different experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I started like reading this book and I was like, oh my gosh, like what he said actually made sense. So nowadays I try to like again no one is perfect. I try to work on it as well, but there are times that I think about before I say something and I'm like, oh no, that is actually black magic. I
Mm-hmm.
don't say that. I don't put black magic on people.
Mm-hmm.
So just like knowing that and becoming aware of it, I think it is a huge thing because it makes us, just be more conscious of it and know what we're saying and understanding the power of words.
Right.
And thought becomes things, and by
Right.
thought becomes words, and words become things. So
Mm-hmm.
why not, use positive words? So
Yes.
yeah, definitely has had a huge impact on me. And how about you? If you'd like to share your amazing experience also.
Yeah, for me, when it says being impeccable with your words, that means a lot, because the way I look at it is, sometimes we are usually very critical towards ourselves, right? So
Yeah.
being impeccable with your words is also not using your words against yourself. Use your words to speak positivity towards yourself. Use your words in the direction of love. So sometimes I find myself often talking down upon myself. You don't have enough time. You're not capable. You can't do it. But the truth is, when we have thoughts like that, they do become habits, right? And when they become habits, that's you start manifesting what you're thinking. You start acting upon what you're thinking. So for me, I learned with this book, if I can learn to counteract every negative thought with a positive thought, I can be more productive, be more creative, and just be the best version of myself. And I can be the best version for other people as well, just by being impeccable with my words to myself. So that is
Exactly.
very, very important. So not only should we be, because I think we had this discussion and you said it has to start from within, right?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
correct.
We have to fix ourselves.
Definitely.
Exactly. So thank you, Sarah, for talking about that with me. Are you guys, I'm just going to ask the audience, you guys have any questions about that? Or are you guys following about that? Someone said pin the name of the book. I wish I knew how to pin. I'm new to life.
Pin, maybe we can.
Yeah,
Let's see.
first
You
time
know who
in the
should be
name of the
tagged? We should tag Don Miguel Ruiz. He'll be
right.
so proud. I'm serious. So when I posted our book club meeting on Instagram, a text message that came through, he actually like reposted my post, and it was like, oh my gosh,
That
he
is
actually read me.
beautiful.
I know. I was like, I almost cried. So yes, thanks for tagging him. That's cool. If he's
Right.
available, it would be so amazing. Can you believe, like, if he would
Hmm.
like actually hop on, it would be
It
crazy.
would be
But it's just a
awesome.
wild day, wild thoughts, you know, and the thoughts become things. So well, let's see.
Awesome. I think I figured that out to pin, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pin it.
Okay, cool. Do it.
Yes. Posts, and then I just have to click on the comment. Now pin the comment. I think, okay, we're pinned. Got it. Perfect.
Ah, cool.
Yes, yes,
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's great.
yes. Thank you. So now we're gonna go into the second agreement. The second
Okay.
agreement says don't take things personally. And Don Miguel defines this as nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dreams. And when you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you will be the victim of needless suffering. So, again, this agreement says don't take things personally, right? So, Sarah, can you explain why this agreement is so powerful? And what are some ways that you've experienced this in your life?
Oh my gosh, how can you ever take things personally being a pharmacist, right? We seriously can't.
Yeah.
Nothing will be done, right? So
Yes.
one of the things, this was actually one of the things that my amazing preceptor taught me. I used to be extremely
Mhm.
sensitive and take everything personally, and he was like, "Look, if you want to be happy at a workplace, you will have to like let things go." And I really,
Yes.
really took that to my heart. And I think I've appreciated him for saying that like many times. I took that to my heart. I really, really like try to look from a different perspective every time, especially at a workplace, if I am feeling like things are coming my way that are like not the way that I expect them to be.
Hmm.
And just think about like what's happening. Like one of the examples that like was happening at my workplace and I was like tremendously offended by, I was a poor little intern. It
Hmm.
was basically what's happening is there was this girl at my work. She was having tremendous health issues and she was in so much pain. It's not even funny. And for that reason, she was always angry, but she was in actually like physical pain, y'all. Like she was having a severe problem
Hmm.
and understanding like where people come from really and the way that they're like acting or reacting toward things sometimes it's because they're going through a tough time, sometimes it's because they're having actual physical pain, sometimes many things. And the author actually takes this all the way to the point that if someone shoots you in the face, it's not about you, it's about them. And he said that, I was like, come on.
Right. Right.
Right,
Definitely.
but it is true because
Hmm.
sometimes if we want to like start taking everything personally, nothing will be in its place really, and you'll always be in so much anxiety,
Hmm.
stress. Why would we live a life like that when we can just let things go and
Hmm.
just understand that it's not about us, it's about the other person? And I'm actually reading another book at the same time right now. It's called Ego is the Enemy. And Ego is the Enemy is an incredible book, and it still talks about when someone is doing something, it's not about you, it's about them. And understanding it's about them, we don't take things personally. We live a happier life, we feel good, and once we feel good inside, now we can help others feel good. And now, like you explained, it starts from within and the world can become a better place.
I completely agree. And like it just made me this specific agreement just made me realize that nothing other people do is because of you. Like the way they act
Mhm.
towards you, what they say to you, it's really
Yeah.
not because of you. It's where they are at that moment in their life, and it's just and when people try to bring you down or talk bad to you, you shouldn't give them power over your emotions by reacting to them, right? When you give them
Exactly.
power over your emotions, they basically win. But you can try to be a little bit more mature and just when you're in that situation, just try to remain neutral and just don't take it personally. Just look at it as maybe I don't know what this person is going through before actually
Exactly.
saying, oh, I'm gonna return the same energy. When you
Mhm.
return the same energy, nothing gets solved. You just create more problems and more chaos. So when he says that, it really made a lot of things make more sense. Like I should just in my life try not to take things personally. And to even take it a step forward, the author goes as far as saying even when you hear positive feedback, when someone tells you very nice things or awesome things, you shouldn't take that personally either. Because
Right.
when you take positive feedback personally, that creates expectations. And when you have expectations,
Correct.
the moment they don't meet that expectations, you're disappointed and you give them the power over your emotion and you feel horrible. So I
Mhm.
think that was an agreement that basically, it really, I think that's one of my favorite agreements that, among the four, that one and another one. So I really liked that agreement. So I'm just gonna,
Excellent.
Sarah, I'm just gonna ask you one more question. What do you think are some
Sure.
simple ways we can try not to take things personally?
So, I think one of the things that gets in the way of taking things personally is our emotions,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When someone says something to us, we're like, "Ooh, how dare you!" You
How
know, like
dare
it
you?
gets all
Yes,
like worked up, and I'm
yes.
like, "Ah," it like gets out of hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, first things first, is that acknowledge your emotions, right? This has
Mm-hmm.
really, really helped me. So understand that, hey, okay, like she said, he said, what they said, I feel bad now. Just understanding, like just taking a minute and understanding, like, okay, this has happened
Mm-hmm.
and I feel bad now. So let the emotions go through you. Don't stop him, don't oppress them, don't do anything. Just let them happen, okay?
Right.
And as they go through you, try and start like I start personally like taking deep breaths, right?
Mm-hmm.
So recently read a book. It's called Super Attractor. It's an amazing book, and in that book, it basically teaches you one of the breathing techniques, which I really really liked. And what it basically entailed was you take a deep breath for like 5 seconds, hold 5 seconds, breathe out.
Mm-hmm.
5 seconds. So once you do that for like 2-3 minutes, which may not seem to be a really long time, but it's actually super effective.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I already feel good. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because they say change your mindset and then your life will be different. But what they don't say in that between along those lines is that you also need to change your emotions. Like you have to like be able to like have more of control over your emotions and understand your emotions and things like that. So that like been really, really like helpful to me. And at the end, what really, really helped me is like really taking a minute, stepping back and like realizing, like seeing the situation from that person's eye.
Right.
Because sometimes someone come to us and say something and we take it really super personally, but might be actually true. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it might be a criticism that like we're not taking it like so kindly, but maybe we should.
Mm-hmm.
So it really like these three things have been really, really helpful to me, and I'm so glad throughout my life I came across them and I started like implementing them. And once I started implementing them, I just feel so much better about myself and about life, just
Yeah,
generally.
yeah. I completely agree. Yeah, it's a wonderful book. Like with some, like the agreements are so simple. If we just, it's simple, but it's hard to do, and we're humans,
Exactly.
So we're
Yes, that's
humans. So
the key. We are humans.
we're humans, and I mean, one thing that was also said that I think to add to this is, when we say don't take things personally, we that doesn't mean that you shouldn't, like, if whatever they might say, like, you shouldn't consider the information. You can always consider it,
Right.
but do not let it affect your emotions. You can always be like, okay, let me try to process this thing, but do not let it affect your emotions, because the way people act is just a reflection of where they are in their life at that moment, and that's just the reality.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
thank you, Sarah. We're just gonna look through and see if the audience said anything. Okay, so we have a few. Yeah, some people said nice book. Yeah, nice book. Thank you. Glad you all loved it. And so someone said, I think this is a regard. This is my auntie, by the way. Auntie Pa. She said, "Don't let anyone control your emotions." I'm believing that she's relating that to not taking things personally. And then she said, "Happiness comes from within." Right?
That's a
Yes,
good one.
that's a good one, because like the way people act sometimes, they might not be happy and they just want to put that energy on you. But when you know yourself, you wouldn't let it affect you and bring you down. You just keep moving
Exactly.
on, right? And someone said, try not to put yourself in a position where your feelings can be hurt. What do you think about that? Yeah.
That's cool, but sometimes people come at you like they're coming to fight. So sometimes you are
you can't
already in
avoid
that
it, especially
position,
at
you know?
work.
Yeah, at work, it's like, you're like, I didn't do anything. I work here. Come on.
Yes. Because sometimes you can avoid it. I think in that case, when they start acting up, you just take a deep breath. Just maybe excuse yourself for a moment, and
Exactly.
try to, because the immediate reaction would be, I want to match your energy. We can match each other's energy. But just take a moment and reflect on what's going on, and just remind yourself, it really isn't about me. It's based on how this person sees life at this moment. It's based on how they are. So I think that's a way to look at that. Someone said spot on.
Definitely.
Thank you. Someone says 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene talks a lot of this. Have you heard about
Oh my
that
gosh,
book?
yes, I've actually read that book.
You've read it?
I've read that. It's a very thick book. It's a really thick book. Like, it's a lot. And then once you read through it, you're like, oh my gosh, so and so is like manipulating me. It gets like, I read it like 4 years ago, 3, 4 years ago. So when I read it, I was like, like, I'm being manipulated by power. I was like, really good. I was 4 years ago, me was a different person. So I was like taking it all personally. But that's a really, really good read, actually. It's a really thick book, but it's a really, really good read.
Maybe something I would consider reading, because I never read that before.
It's a really good book.
Nice. Someone said, you look amazing, Sarah. Jennifer said, you look amazing, Sarah.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you.
Yes. And they said, you guys, well done. And then someone's really, and Femi said, laughing my ass out, because I guess what you said about the book, he was the one who talked about the 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
He said,
I got really worked up about it.
Yes, he agrees with you.
Thank you.
But yeah,
it was though, like I was actually like going through like a certain period of my life that I was working with this person that it was a very challenging work environment. And they ended up actually firing that person because it's very complex, but I don't want to get into it. But it wasn't like over me. Something else happened while I wasn't there, and they didn't handle the customer or the owner. They offended the owner, so like they were like, like, how about you don't come here anymore? So it was a really difficult situation, and I was reading that book, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is happening to me right now. So I was like so terrified, but it's a really good book to read. I think everyone should be aware of it. I mean, not to use it to manipulate others, but to use it just to know and be aware of like what situation you are personally in, and then go from there.
I agree.
Yeah,
I'm
being aware.
Check it out. I'm definitely gonna check it
out. You
should.
Yeah, definitely a good book.
So the book that Mr. Femi suggested to us, it's called 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and Sarah approves of this book and say we should all check it out. So you all should definitely check it out if you have time. If you have the time. So Mrs. Busy said, even when I get hurt, I don't stay hurt. I heal and avoid such person or things that put me in such sceneries. Yes, we agree.
Yeah.
At that moment, you have to do whatever works for you. You know,
exactly.
Just to give yourself enough time to reflect upon everything, and just to not give them power over your emotions at that moment. So I agree. That's a very good advice, Mrs. B.
Yeah, I really agree. Like just stepping away and like just taking a break and like go get fresh air.
Yes.
And then come back and maybe like realize that maybe what they're saying is maybe true, right? Sometimes people come at us with not the best attitude, but the information that they have is actually legit information. So just stepping out for a minute, get fresh air, and come back and be adult about it. I think that makes sense.
Right. Thank you. And then this is the last one we're going to take for now, and then we're going to talk about the next agreement. They said managers are great leadership when they don't take issues personally. Definitely. Yes, definitely. I agree with that. So we're going to go ahead and continue on. We're going to talk about the third agreement, right? The third agreement is, I want to kind of test everybody right now and see if they were listening to us initially. So can somebody type what the third agreement is? Somebody type, what is the third agreement? Somebody type in the third agreement. We're
not gonna judge you for not being able to.
Right. We're gonna. What is the third agreement? I'm waiting. Oh, okay. We just.
Come on, you guys, Google it.
Google it.
You can do it.
Come on, Google it. Google the third agreement. Someone said any price.
You know what? We should maybe consider that one time.
Yeah.
We should have that would be fun. Something
that
fun
would
to
be
do.
Fun. Yes, that would be
Definitely.
Absolutely fun. Okay, so
be like Oprah, like everyone gets a car.
Woo, that's hilarious. Oh, someone got it right.
What? That's exciting. Yeah, bravo. That's
Awesome.
Exciting.
They said don't make assumptions. You're absolutely right. Do not make assumptions. That is the third agreement. And I'm going to summarize this for you guys. Don Miguel summarizes this as, we make all sorts of assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask questions and assume everyone sees life the same way we do. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. Get in the car. Yes. So, Sarah, what do you think Don Miguel means by this statement? And can you give an example of how you relate to it?
Oh my gosh, yes, many examples. Being a network marketer, I can't even tell you how many times I've made assumptions and I shouldn't have. And then finally I got into not doing it. So not so long ago, so me and this lady that we are super close friends, her name is Anna, we do weekly calls and actually multiple weekly calls that we do. And one of those weekly calls had fallen in one of the holidays that she celebrates. And we were trying to figure out if there's going to be a call or not. So all we did is basically just not make assumptions, communicate directly. We're like, hey, so-and-so, we understand, this is a holiday. So we were just curious, if you would, if you're available. She was like, oh, yes, I'm available. And we were like, if we didn't have, if we didn't ask, it would have been, it would have been a chaos because, it would have been a missed opportunity.
Right.
And I really, that was one of my, aha moments in life, just being able to communicate directly and just simply ask and see what that person thinks. Don't think or assume what other people are thinking, because we have no idea what they are going through, what is happening in their head, right? And it really all these four agreements, they all go along with each other really, really well. And I feel that's also one of the things that we might think, if they say something, we might take it personally, but what if you don't? And what if we communicate directly and see what happens and there's no problems at all? Sometimes we assume people, don't like us, or we assume people are going to react in a certain way. We assume things are not going to work out, but what if it's not that way? And at the end of the day, we talked about people that they were they had this study that they had done with the people that were dying. One of their main regrets weren't what they had said. One of the main regrets were what they hadn't said, or you said, hadn't done. So yeah, definitely this is a big one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm gonna this it talks about not making assumptions. I think we make us, whenever we make assumptions, we kind of create a belief in our head that it is the truth, right? We assume, we create a belief, we misunderstand, and we create all this unnecessary chaos, right? So what he's trying to tell us with this agreement is to basically focus on communication. Try to communicate. Don't just assume the worst. It also has to do with taking things personally. Someone might act a certain way towards you at a certain time, but it might not even have anything to do with you. That's just the
Exactly.
it's just what they're going through at that moment. We need to learn how to communicate. We shouldn't always assume the worst about people. The good thing with communicating is when you communicate, you kind of get where they are at that moment, and you can kind of see,
Exactly.
you can kind of see if it really had, you kind of get clarification, you know, like, okay. And the author even goes as far as saying, even when they tell you, even after they communicate with you, still do not take it, still do not assume that you know it all.
Right.
You know, so
Always ask questions, right?
yeah. So I'm just gonna look at what the audience have to say about this. And
I want to say something funny about the assuming. I forgot to tell you before, but I'm going to tell you now.
what? Go ahead.
So when I worked before, there was this girl, she was like, assume stands for ass you me, make an ass out of you and me. So,
Assume me.
so don't.
Yes, yes. So don't assume. Yeah. So basically, don't assume. Like a lot of us do it, even as Nigerians. Like we do it a lot. So just communicate. We just have to learn to communicate better. If you have a problem with somebody, communicate. Get their point of view.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's what it focuses on. Communicating. Someone says making assumptions without good facts makes us create problems that doesn't even exist. Couldn't
Definitely.
have said it any better. I agree. Without facts. Oh, someone looks at me this way, they don't like me. Oh, someone looks at me this way. Oh, he has, you know, just so many problems, unnecessary chaos. Oh, this person did not call me. Like, what if they're going through stuff? That's why they didn't call you. Why don't you go ahead and call them? You know, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Someone said assumptions are lazy. Kendo says assumptions are lazy. What do you think about that?
It is true, because instead of like it's being stuck in your own head, you have to mind your own mind. That's what I was told. You have to mind your own mind, and you have to like be careful what your mind is like coming up with, because human brain like generates so many thoughts every day, right? Like ridiculous number, and it is lazy to just sit down and be like, yeah, so and so doesn't like me. It might take more work and more initiative just to grab your phone and like, you know, just initiate something, and actually like based on evidence. If someone doesn't like, I mean, it's possible some people don't like us, it's okay, and it's okay. But if we are going to make that conclusion, I think it has to be based on an actual evidence, not that you know, just assuming, or oh, I didn't get a good vibe from, which that's kind of a good thing, actually understand other people's vibe, but also people don't have good vibe when they go through bad things in life that has nothing to do with us, right?
Yes.
And or like if they're actually like in physical pain, I'm sorry, the person is like in legitimate like 9 out of 10 pain. So like, what do you expect, right? So it's not about us, it's about them, and we'll have to like not make assumptions and go through. And if something like doesn't work out, that's okay. But what's important is just to do our part and then go about, which we'll get to that in the next one as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Thank
these
you,
are
Sarah.
also like intertwined.
They are.
All these agreements.
They are. Thank you, Sarah. Hello. They said hello. Hi. We're gonna wave back to you all. Hello. And Femi says, what is the balance of not making assumptions and taking the initiative? What do you mean by what is the balance of not making assumptions and taking the initiative? Like,
so I think what I'm thinking of that is like so you mean just to get clarification on that, does that mean that because you have to take initiative to see if to not, you know, it starts with taking initiative, and if you don't take initiative, then you won't know. I mean, you can wait to the eternity and see if that person would say anything or not, or you can ask and see what happens. And I mean, what's honestly like, I sometimes think about this, and this has really helped me with my profession, because like you have to like really be like, what's the worst that can happen? Really, what is the worst, right?
Yes.
You like text someone or call someone, what's the worst? They don't answer, or like they say something nasty.
Yeah.
We're not going to take that personally, so who cares?
Yes.
You know, it's not going to affect us. You have to like become really like solid, so solid that like no one can impact you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is who I am, and no outside factor can
Mm-hmm.
ever ruin me or my day. That's it. And once that you get that, I'm not saying I'm there yet, by the way. I'm not making any, like, I'm not
We're not
making any
there.
claim, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying once that one person could be there, it is an amazing, it seems to be an amazing place to be.
Yes.
So once that you feel strong inside, others can impact you. And once you take the initiative, and we'll talk about it more on the next agreement. So if you
Mm-hmm.
read more of the comments, and once we get to the next agreement, we can also talk about it as well.
Okay, awesome. So not making assumption, taking when you take if you don't take the initiative, you're basically still assuming.
Yeah, you're being the lazy, right? We talked
Yeah,
about
yeah, they're being lazy, like the other comment said. Making
right,
assumptions is
exactly.
being lazy. Yeah. See, I like how you're
Exactly.
linking everything together. I love that. Someone said, "How do you mind your own mind?" I don't know if he's trying to be funny. How do you mind
Boy,
your
that's
own
its
mind?
own, that it requires its own talk show.
That's another book.
Become a different person. Simple as that.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
It's
You have to constantly
hard.
be aware. It's hard,
It takes
but it is
training.
possible,
It is
right?
definitely possible. It takes.
I feel like meditating is something that has helped me with that, to minding your own mind. It
Yeah.
keeps you more focused. You don't let random things get in your head. It
Mm-hmm.
keeps you focused on the lane toward what you're supposed to be working toward, what you're supposed to be working toward to become more successful. And like, don't waste your energy or your time on things that are not important.
Yes.
So that's what minding your mind kind of means. Don't sweat the small stuff. That itself is
Mm-hmm.
another amazing book.
Mm-hmm.
Let the small, and it's so funny because in that book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, it says at the end, and all the stuff are small stuff. So
Everything.
let the small stuff go and
Yes.
focus on what's more important. Like every time that something bothers you, like think about, is this thing gonna like impact me 5 years from now?
Mm.
Like, is this gonna have any impact in my life 5 years from now? If the
Yeah.
answer is no, then why are you wasting your time? Let go.
Exactly. You
It's
couldn't have
easy
said
said
it
than
better.
done, though.
You couldn't have said it. Something that helps me as well. I don't meditate, but I do yoga.
Amazing.
Yeah, yoga it's pretty. It's awesome. It just does something to you. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Because you're also focusing on your breath while you're doing it. It all has to do with breathing.
exactly.
Right. So just taking the
Exactly.
time out to yourself and just, meditating like Dr. Sarah said. She couldn't have said it better. So thanks for answering that questions.
Oh,
Um
thank you.
yes, and somebody said, Femi said, sometimes you have to assume because you don't always have all the data points.
Mm,
Mm, that's why. So when you don't have all the data, that's why we say you gotta ask questions. There was something I read online. It said we have learned a bad habit of believing that asking too many questions means you're dumb or slow. So we would rather shut up and not ask questions. So I mean,
exactly.
yeah. So I mean, the sometimes what do you think about this? I don't want to say sometimes you have to assume because you don't have all the data points.
I feel like nothing is like definite in life, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that is kind of true. There are times in life that, I mean, I would like to have all the information about like what happened to my great 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 grandfather, but like they all passed away. There's no way of knowing. I'm gonna have to assume something's
Yeah.
there. But then how like how much that has impacted my life, right?
Hmm.
It's not that like it is important in a sense, but also it's not that important. Like you have to see like how important that topic. And if it's really, really important, if you have a big why for what's happening, so then yeah, you'll have to, make an effort and get more information. But if it's like not that important and or there's no way of getting information about it, then you can't do anything about it. You're not gonna like waste your entire life finding out, how like, certain things happen or why certain things happen. We'll have to sometimes just go with the flow and take life easy, really, because life comes to us as, it comes to us as we see it. If you see
Yes.
life in a good way, like good things to start, like, you know, positive things. I will see positive things, will feel good, and more positive things will come our way. And then if we constantly, like, you know, focus on the negative part of like not being able to like do certain things, and negative things will come our way. So it really is like about prioritizing and see like how important that is in terms of like assuming. And if it is like really, really important, then we have to like make the effort and find out the information that we need. That's what I personally think.
Good job, Sarah. That's a good answer. Couldn't have said
Thank you.
any better. Thank you, Sarah, for clarifying that.
Thank you.
We're trying to say don't like don't assume, but there are times where
Yeah.
you have to, but you do always try not to assume on very important things. Just communicate. Thank you, Sarah. Next one says we need to be mindful of the form of communication that suits the other party to be effective. Mr. Lange says we need to be mindful of the form of communication that suits the other party to be effective. What do you think? I think
that's like, that would be like another talk, right? Because like that itself is like basically communication skills and being able to like having like, you know, build in a higher emotional intelligence, being able to like what to say to who, how to say. That's like a whole different conversation, I want to say. But definitely it is really important. We have to be sensitive toward other people. We can't just be like, you know, saying things or doing things that hurt other people's feelings by being curious and getting information, right? Like we are curious, we have questions, but we have to be sensitive to the other party. And how to do that, like I said, that would be like another talk. But there are books out there that you should read, and I've read a few. I need to read more. There is one that I'm reading right now. It's called Emotional Intelligence Mastery. I think it is like 9 books in one. It is crazy. It's really, really cool. And there is a book that's called, it's an incredibly famous book. I think it's called How to Influence Friends. It's a really, really old book though, but it is so worth reading. Like if I say there's a book that everyone should read once a year, it is that book.
What's the book called again? Emotional Intelligence.
How to Influence Friends.
Oh,
I think that's what it's called. How to Influence. I think it's by gosh, forget the name. But I also have, it's one of those books that I have both hard copy, Audible, like everything.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's a very, I think the gentleman's last name is McCarthy. I might be wrong, but he has passed away. It's a very old book, and it is very effective though, even though like has old languagey in it, but still when like he speaks, you're like, oh my gosh, like I could have, you know, de-escalated such and such situation, and I didn't because I did not have the skills, you know, or like it makes you really think of like moments, and like if flashbacks come and goes, like it's crazy. It's like this, like when he speaks, you're like, I could have done this, like I could have. But you know, we're human. At the end of the day, we are all human. We have to have compassion toward ourselves. We are learning. And that was one of the reasons that I started that book club, because I was like, okay, I'm reading all these books, this is amazing, but I really don't have people to like discuss this with. First of all, when you don't discuss things, you don't like apply them, because it just comes and goes. It's like you read them, amazing. It's like a spiritual entertainment. You read them and then you're done with it. Great, next one. But when you discuss like what we're doing right now, and you guys are listening and responding, and like, you know, we're kind of like communicating back and forth, it like works better. So there are definitely like multiple books that you could read. There are like bazillion books that you could, but those are like the 2 that comes to my mind. And there are many books about emotional intelligence alone. There are many communication books that are out there. Some of them are better than others, but definitely find one that is like interesting to you, because it's a topic that can get boring. I hate to say. So try and find something that's like that you can do. Try and find something that like you can finish it, and you know, you can practice it, and find support groups that you can discuss with. And once you do that, it will just, you know, it will become part of you and moving forward. So it is definitely important to like learn those skills and apply in life. That's for sure.
Yeah, and the goal is to like hopefully we're gonna be doing this more often, maybe once every 2 or 3
Yeah,
weeks, where we're gonna just dive and talk
exactly.
about other books that, different books that can help all of us grow, because that's
Exactly.
something we're all growing together. No one knows it all, and it takes teamwork and
Exactly.
discussions and learning from each other to all get to,
Mhm.
for us to get to where we want to be. So I'm gonna go
Exactly.
ahead and just let's see, we're just gonna take some more we're gonna read some more of the comments. Someone's Kendo says assumptions are unnecessary when the answer is unknown. Yes, we agree. I believe that you covered that, Sarah. Next one's Jennifer says, "Y'all make me want to read it, Law. You should read the book. It's pretty. It's a short read. You can literally be done
It's
in like 2 to 3 hours if you just focus on it." Next person says, "If the info you need is out there, then you're lazy. If you rather assume." I think you
yeah,
covered that, Sarah. Yes, thank you
yeah,
for you.
agreed.
That is so true. You completely covered that, Sarah. But always, and Lanre said, always try your best to ask questions and get answers. Yes, thank you. We would. That's what we would always do. Femi said,
Definitely.
awesome. Kendra says, fun times. Lanre says communications can be verbal and non-verbal. Nathan says amazing, and Lanre says thank you so much for sharing, Sarah. So Sarah, you're killing it.
Oh,
You're killing it. I knew
thank you guys for
I knew she was
watching.
perfect for this. I was like, I have to get
No,
her here.
I'm
But
grateful for this opportunity, really. Thank you so
yes,
much for picking me.
yes.
I'm so grateful to be here and talk to you guys. And like you said, we are all learning from each other. No one has it all.
Mm-hmm.
We are all learning from each other. It's just that recognizing that we are on a path to better ourselves,
Yes.
and just recognizing that we need like certain things to
Mm-hmm.
learn, certain books that we need to read, and just move forward. Because human nature is, if you know you're making progress, you'll feel good. But
Yes.
if you like stuck somewhere, you're like, oh my gosh, like the anxiety creeps in.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people don't understand, if they have so much anxiety, they're like, why I'm having all these? But if they take action, it will decrease.
Yes.
And it's one of the things in personal development path is, if you start taking action, you'll actually start feeling better. Things
Yes.
start getting better.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Action, very important. Which leads us to our last agreement. The fourth agreement says always do your best. Your best changes from moment to moment. It would be different when you're okay, I'm gonna start over again. The fourth agreement is always do your best. Don Miguel summarizes this as your best changes from moment to moment. It would be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and neglect. So this is the author's personal favorite agreement, because the first three agreements, they exist in our emotions. But the fourth agreement is we're actually we're doing our best to manifest these three agreements. It's no longer in
Exactly.
our mind. We're actually putting it into action. So according to the author, it says, we have so many ideas. If we don't take the action, it dissipates. But if we do, we can share it with everybody else, right? So,
Exactly.
Sarah, this question is for you again. The fourth agreement, always do your best. What are some of the ways practicing this agreement could change lives?
Honestly, like this is also one of my favorite, like probably the most favorite.
Mm.
And that's because I personally have suffered from being a perfectionist, wanting everything to like be perfect and wanting to like, try beyond my capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And it has really, really helped me to like, realize that if I do my best, sometimes you don't have to actually work so hard. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
that's a key. What it matters is like you do your best, because sometimes your best is enough, but we as humans we sometimes don't know that. But if we understand this agreement as like part of our life, and understand like all I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to like leave the results to the universe,
Mm-hmm.
and or whatever you believe in, and then let that handle the rest. Because understanding like this can go really far, but understanding like we are limited, right? We are limited in our capacity and our everything. So as long as you do your best, you'll feel good inside, and once you feel good inside, you're gonna want to do more, even you're gonna do like even better. But
Mm-hmm.
if you constantly like self-sabotage and constantly feel that like you're not enough, constantly feel like, which honestly as a woman I'm kind of was a victim of that. Like, I don't want to consider myself as a victim, but it was something that like I suffered from, thinking that I wasn't enough, thinking that like it is like, you know, I need to do more and all that. It is cool as long as you do your best, then you can leave the rest. And really, once you do that, you'll feel good. And if you do feel good, you can make others feel good. If you can make others feel good, then others will do better in their lives as well, and then we'll have a better life. It really like is this one agreement. I think it's like a cement that goes like along all the other ones and like connects all of them together, and it makes everything make sense. Because if you do your best, then you'll stop like self-sabotaging or having like, you know, negative thoughts about yourself. That brings you back to the being impeccable with your own words. Because at the end of the day, we talk to ourselves in a way that we would never ever talk to anyone in that way, right? So it's really important to like be impeccable. But how can you be impeccable if you don't believe in doing your best, right? Once you do your best, you just feel good and you let go, and good things will happen.
Couldn't have said it any better. For me, I've found that when I don't do my best, I will talk down upon myself. You know, when you don't do your best, you find yourself like just talking down upon yourself, making yourself feel horrible because a part of you knows that you could have done better. So the goal is to, even with the small things, like the little things, always do your best. They say if you take on something, if you're not gonna do your best, you shouldn't even take on it at all. You know that, because like you said, if we're not doing our best, we would not be impeccable with our words. We would not be impeccable with our words. But just to I found this story online about an author, and I feel like it's very important that I share this with you guys. And it's just another way of showing why it's very important to do your best. This was a story by an author. Her name is Catherine Kraft. She talked about the hardest time in her life being when her husband killed himself. She said her husband was an alcoholic and had put the family in a lot of debt, and they were on the verge of getting a divorce. She said with all this happening, she kept trying her best again and again to get him the help he needed, which made his death more shocking because she thought they were they were trying to fix him. But after his death and while she was mourning, she said one thing she realized was that there are forces in this world that are more powerful than anyone's means to combat them. But her actions saved her from a load of guilt and regret after his death, because she knew she had done her best to try to save him. She did everything in her power to try to help him. That way, if she didn't do that, that would have resulted in a lot. Imagine the amount of guilt you would have felt if she didn't try her best to help him. Just imagine, So that's one of the reasons why in everything, with helping people, with your own personal life, or any project you have, just always do your best. And I really like this agreement. So I'm just gonna try to see if you guys have anything to say about this agreement saying always do your best. Nathan says, you guys really helped me. That's awesome, Nathan. Glad to hear that. Lange said, I like Sarah's expression of the agreement. She's very eloquent and vast.
Thank you.
Yes. And they said, good job, Dederils, for bringing Sara on. I knew she was going to be perfect. Thank you guys.
You guys are so awesome. Thank you.
And Lange said, one more minute, guys. Great job. You mean?
Yeah, we can stay on just a few minutes, see if anyone have any questions, and we can all obviously add more of the personal experience if you like. So
yeah, and Femi said, "Great job, guys." Thank you, Femi. So those are the 4 agreements that we just talked about, right? If you guys do have any questions, we're open for discussion. But before we go, I'm gonna ask Sara one last question, right?
Sure.
Sara. Oh, someone said, okay, let me ask you this question, then we'll answer. So Sara, I'm going to ask you this question. Which of the 4 agreements most resonates with you? Like, which one do you? Mhm.
Honestly, like all of them have tremendously like influenced my life in a way that like, I feel like I have become a better version of like not the best, of course, yet,
Mhm.
but a better version of myself. I mean, you've known me for like what, 2 years now,
Yeah.
and I think since then you've seen the how long I've come
The
in this path,
consistency.
and
I've seen the consistency. I've seen the hard work.
oh,
I've
thank
seen
you,
so I've seen the growth. I've just seen so
thanks.
I feel like we met by fate, Sarah. So
Oh,
yeah,
seriously,
I've
because
seen
you
a
weren't
lot.
supposed to be the person in there, right? Like the other pharmacist was supposed to be in there. So
Yeah.
it really, I really do believe it was by fate because
Mhm.
someone else was supposed to be there, and then that someone else like didn't happen. I couldn't find where you were, and then once I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
yeah, so yeah, really, I really do believe that. And it's all about like, progressing and improving ourselves. But I think, like I said, I think do your best is definitely my favorite because I personally like suffered from always just feeling down
Mhm.
just because I felt like what I did wasn't enough, or who I am isn't enough, or what I will be will not be enough. And one of my friends actually brought it up to my attention. It was like, look, you need to understand what path you're on right now. You need to like let go of all the negative like emotions and feelings and stuff that you used to have, and like understand like you are in like a different phase of your life. And I really took that to my heart. I really like was like, okay, it's really not as bad as I think this whole life thing is. And I all I have to do is like figure out what is it that I need to do on daily basis. That's what actually has tremendously helped me is like feel good about myself. What is it that I need to do on daily basis to like feel good about myself and feel that, I did what I had to do. So of course I go to work every day as a pharmacist, and one of the main things for me is like to do my best and become an excellent like you do an excellent job, become an excellent pharmacist. So that's like the main thing for me.
Um, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and close this out. Sarah is a very busy lady, so she probably has another meeting after this.
Thank
Yeah, yeah.
you.
So, Sarah, I just wanna thank you so much for your time. You were pretty awesome, and I'm
Thank you for
sure
having me.
everybody learned a thing or two from you today, just like with how
I
you
appreciate it.
approach the questions and the discussions. So, thank you. And I want to let
Thank
everybody
you.
know Sarah is into health and wellness and helping you be the best version of
Oh,
you. So if that's something
thank
that you are looking to do, you should definitely follow her and chat with her.
thank
She's
you.
very friendly and very welcoming. That is
Thank
something.
you.
Yes, very. So thank you so much for coming. And I also want to thank everybody for tuning in to the show. I appreciate it, and everybody have a wonderful day.